We all know the sting of being overlooked. You put in the work, you wait your turn, and then you have to stand there and watch someone else receive the exact validation, praise, or promotion you wanted. When that happens, human nature often defaults to a specific defensive reflex. We tell ourselves that if we feel rejected, someone else must be the problem. This brings us to the book of Genesis and the story of Cain and Abel. For thousands of years, this passage has been famous for recording the first murder in human history. Looking closer, however, the text serves as a psychological autopsy of an unexamined heart. It shows that Cain's true enemy was never his brother. It was his own internal corruption. The conflict begins when both brothers bring offerings to God. Abel's offering is accepted, while Cain's is rejected. The text does not provide every granular detail, but the emotional fallout is clear. Cain is consumed by a mixture of anger, deep discouragement, and jealousy. Despite the intensity of those feelings, Cain still had a choice in how to process his pain. Violence was not yet inevitable. Before Cain ever lifts a hand against his brother, God steps in. It is an act of early preventative mercy. God warns Cain in Genesis 4:7, "Sin is crouching at your door. It desires to have you, but you must rule over it." God demonstrates here that he is looking at the condition of the heart, even as the gift is being presented. This is a call to emotional discipline, the idea that a person can experience the feeling of jealousy or anger without allowing it to become their master. By speaking up, God showed that Cain was not yet beyond hope. He offered Cain a chance to master his inner darkness before it could lead to destruction. Cain ignores the warning. Instead of confronting his own shortcomings, he projects his feelings of failure onto Abel, simply because his brother's success exposed his own inadequacy. We can trace how this internal anger morphed into calculated deception by looking at a discovery within historical text criticism. While standard Hebrew texts simply state that Cain talked with Abel, older manuscript fragments from the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Septuagint contain a chilling addition. In these versions, Cain explicitly says, "Let us go into the field." This is the anatomy of the fall. It started as a thought, became a feeling, grew into a fixation, and solidified into a deceptive decision that ended in a fatal act. Cain struck down his brother to silence the person reminding him of his own failure. In the immediate aftermath, God approaches Cain with a single question: "Where is your brother Abel?" An omniscient God already knows the answer. He asks the question to provide Cain a final opportunity to confess. Cain responds with a defensive deflection: "Am I my brother's keeper?" This response marks a heart so closed that it has lost the capacity for self-examination or repentance. This diagram shows two ways of processing pain. Cain killed Abel because he chose projection over reflection. He refused to deal with himself. The modern lesson is we must never punish others for exposing pain we haven't surrendered to God. The next time you feel the sting of rejection, pose this question to yourself: am I angry because someone actually wronged me, or because their success made me feel small? The courage to ask that question can save careers, ministries, and families from the destructive poison of comparison. The path back to spiritual health requires doing the opposite of what Cain did. It requires responding with radical honesty instead of deflection. When you feel resentment or pride in your own heart, do not hide it, do not minimize it, and do not blame others. Instead, use a specific, actionable prayer. Lord, this is in me, and I do not want it to rule me. God can heal whatever we are willing to reveal. Bring your unexamined pain to Him before it masters you and becomes an irreversible action.